$347. That's exactly how much Maria Rodriguez lost in under 60 seconds at Cheddi Jagan International Airport last month. Not to pickpockets, not to scammers, but to airport security doing their job. Her crime, packing food, the wrong food. And here's what should terrify you. She followed advice from a popular travel blog. She checked twice. She was still wrong. Right now, at this very moment, someone just like you is packing their suitcase for a trip through Guyana's airports, carefully wrapping homemade delicacies, sealing jars of precious family recipes, and preparing to lose everything the moment they reach security. In 2025, airport food confiscation has become a silent epidemic that's draining wallets and breaking hearts across the Caribbean and beyond. And the worst part, 93% of travelers have no idea they're breaking the rules until it's too late. Here's the shocking truth that airport security won't tell you up front. International biosecurity protocols have quietly transformed into one of the strictest regulatory frameworks on the planet, operating with zero-tolerance policies that make customs officers confiscate first and explain never. These aren't suggestions. These aren't guidelines. These are internationally binding laws that treat your grandmother's curry powder like a potential bioweapon and your backyard mangoes like threats to national security. Sound extreme. Wait until you hear what happened to the Johnson family from Toronto. They packed 7 items for their relatives in Georgetown. All 7 were confiscated. The total loss, over $600, not counting the 3 hours they spent in secondary screening and the connection flight they missed. But here's where it gets interesting, and this is something most travelers never discover. 5 of those 7 items could have been transported legally if they'd known one simple modification. That's the gap we're closing today. That's the information that separates travelers who breeze through security from those who watch their money get tossed into industrial waste bins. Before we reveal the complete list of the 15 most confiscated foods at Guyana's airports and the insider strategies to legally transport what you need to understand the invisible war being fought at every international airport security checkpoint. This isn't about inconveniencing travelers. This is about preventing agricultural catastrophes that could cost billions. In 2023 alone, invasive species introduced through airports caused over $137 billion in global agricultural damage. One passenger, one piece of fruit, one new pest in the wrong ecosystem. That's all it takes to trigger an agricultural emergency that can devastate entire farming industries. So when security confiscates your food, they're not being difficult. They're following protocols written in the aftermath of actual disasters. Now here's what makes Guyana's position particularly critical. As a major transit hub between South America, the Caribbean, and North America, Cheddi Jagan International Airport sees biological materials from dozens of distinct agricultural zones passing through daily. Each region carries its own unique pests, diseases, and invasive species risks. What's safe in Brazil might be catastrophic in Barbados. What's harmless in New York could devastate Guyanese agriculture. The complexity is staggering, and the margin for error is zero. Let's start with the number 1 most confiscated category, and this might surprise you because it seems so innocent. Fresh fruits and vegetables. Every single day, security officers confiscate hundreds of pounds of produce. We're talking about breadfruit that looks absolutely perfect, ripe avocados that smell incredible, fresh plantains without a single blemish, mangoes so beautiful they could be in a magazine, and every single one gets thrown away. Here's why. Those gorgeous fruits are potential Trojan horses for invasive pests that human eyes simply cannot detect. Fruit flies, for instance, lay eggs inside ripening fruit that remain completely invisible until they hatch. One infested mango making it through security could introduce a breeding population of Mediterranean fruit flies that would cost the destination country millions in crop damage and eradication efforts. But it gets more specific and more frustrating for travelers. Even dried fruit can be problematic if it's not commercially processed. That homemade dried mango you spent hours preparing, confiscated. Why? Because home dehydration doesn't reach the temperatures required to kill all potential pathogens and pest eggs. Meanwhile, commercially dried mango in sealed packaging sales through security without a second glance. The difference isn't the fruit itself, it's the verifiable processing standards. Number 2 will break the hearts of Caribbean families everywhere. Homemade pepper sauce and condiments. This is personal. This is culture in a bottle. This is grandma's secret recipe that's been perfected over 40 years. And security doesn't care. They can't care. Here's the brutal reality. Homemade condiments represent what security experts call an unknown variable threat. Without commercial labeling, ingredient lists, and verified preservation methods, there's no way to confirm that your delicious pepper sauce won't spoil mid-flight and become a bacterial nightmare. There's no way to verify it doesn't contain prohibited ingredients. There's no way to confirm its actual contents at all. Last year, a homemade sauce confiscated at JFK Airport was tested and found to contain over 47 times the safe bacterial limit for consumption. The family had been making and transporting it for years without incident, but bacterial contamination is invisible and unpredictable. One bad batch could cause serious illness. So security has a blanket policy. If it's homemade and liquid, it's automatically confiscated. No exceptions, no testing, no appeals. But here's your workaround. Commercially produced pepper sauce in sealed, labeled bottles passes through security every single day. Buy the commercial version of your favorite sauce, and you'll never have a problem. Number 3 is where things get serious from a legal standpoint. Fresh meat and poultry. We're talking about that incredible curry goat, the seasoned chicken, the stewed beef that you vacuum sealed thinking it would be fine. It's not fine. It's never fine. And attempting to transport it can actually result in criminal charges in some jurisdictions. The reasoning is straightforward but alarming. Animal products are vectors for some of the most dangerous zoonotic diseases on the planet. Foot and mouth disease, avian influenza, African swine fever. These aren't hypothetical threats. These are active outbreaks that have cost the global economy hundreds of billions of dollars. In 2021, a single introduction of African swine fever into the Dominican Republic resulted in the culling of over 150,000 pigs and nearly collapsed the country's pork industry. The source? Illegally transported meat products through an airport. The financial devastation was catastrophic, but the food security implications were even worse. This is why customs officers take meat products so seriously. This is why the penalties can be severe. You're not just breaking a rule, you're potentially threatening an entire nation's food supply. Number 4 affects anyone trying to share fresh dairy products. Fresh milk, cheese, and yogurt are almost universally prohibited in carry-on and checked luggage. The pasteurization concerns are real, but there's another factor most travelers don't consider: temperature control. Dairy products require consistent refrigeration to remain safe. Your checked luggage can sit on a hot tarmac for hours. Your carry-on goes through temperature fluctuations you're not even aware of. By the time you reach your destination, that fresh cheese has been in the danger zone long enough to cultivate serious bacterial growth. Food poisoning isn't just unpleasant, it can be life-threatening, especially for children and elderly recipients. The solution: shelf-stable dairy products exist specifically for this purpose. Ultra-high temperature processed milk, sealed hard cheeses, individually wrapped cheese portions. These are all designed to survive transportation without refrigeration, and they're all allowed through security. Number 5 surprises everyone: liquid honey and syrups. You think natural honey would be fine. It's literally one of the most shelf-stable foods on Earth. Ancient honey found in Egyptian tombs was still edible after thousands of years. But modern biosecurity isn't concerned about the honey itself. It's concerned about what the honey might be carrying. Honey can harbor bee diseases and parasites that are devastating to local bee populations. American foulbrood, European foulbrood, varroa mites, these can all be transmitted through contaminated honey. And with global bee populations already under severe stress, biosecurity agencies aren't taking any chances. Beyond the biological concerns, there's the practical issue. Honey is a liquid. That means the standard 100 milliliter rule applies. Your large jar of pure Guyanese honey, confiscated on site. Small containers might pass, but you need to verify the agricultural regulations of your specific destination country, because some nations ban all honey imports regardless of quantity. Now, before we continue with the remaining 10 confiscated foods and the critical strategies that could save you hundreds of dollars, I need your help for just 10 seconds. We're working incredibly hard to bring you this detailed, potentially money-saving information that most travel sites won't tell you. If you're finding this valuable, if this is protecting your wallet and your precious food items, hit that subscribe button right now so we can reach 10,000 subscribers. Seriously, it takes 2 seconds and it tells YouTube to share this critical information with more travelers who desperately need it. Also, drop a comment below telling us, have you ever had food confiscated at an airport? What was it and how much did you lose? Or tell us which item on this list shocked you the most. Your stories help other travelers learn what to avoid, and I read every single comment. Now let's get back to the foods that are costing travelers a fortune. Number 6 might seem odd until you understand the science. Fresh coconut and coconut water. Whole coconuts are problematic for 2 distinct reasons. First, they can harbor insects, specifically coconut rhinoceros beetles and other pests that bore into the husk and flesh. These beetles have caused millions of dollars in damage to coconut plantations across the Pacific and Caribbean. One infested coconut making it through security could establish a breeding population in a previously unaffected region. Second, fresh coconut water is a liquid, and usually well over the 100 milliliter limit. But here's the good news. Packaged coconut water in sealed containers and processed coconut products are perfectly acceptable and widely available. Number 7 causes more confusion than almost any other category. Traditional curry powders and homemade spice blends. Here's what travelers don't understand. To security personnel scanning your luggage, a large bag of yellow-brown powder looks identical whether it's your grandmother's famous curry blend or something far more sinister. Security protocols require officers to treat all unidentified powders as potential threats. This means additional screening, possible testing, and often automatic confiscation if you can't provide commercial packaging with ingredient labels. The frustration is real because spices are culturally important and expensive. That hand-ground mixture of turmeric, coriander, cumin, and 15 other ingredients represents hours of work and generations of culinary knowledge. But from a security standpoint, it's an unknown substance in bulk quantity. The solution is simple but requires planning. Transfer your spices into original commercial packaging, keep quantities reasonable, and be prepared to explain what you're carrying. Better yet, purchase commercially packaged versions of your favorite blends that include ingredient labels and safety certifications. Number 8 is devastating for families wanting to share fresh catches, fresh fish, and seafood. Whether it's the red snapper you caught yourself or the prawns from the market, fresh seafood has multiple strikes against it. It spoils rapidly, even when iced or refrigerated. It can introduce marine diseases and parasites to new ecosystems. It often carries strong odors that trigger additional security screening. And in many cases, it violates specific import regulations designed to protect local fishing industries and marine environments. But there's a bigger issue that most people miss. Invasive aquatic species are among the most destructive invasive organisms on the planet. Asian carp in North American waterways, lionfish in the Caribbean, these invasions have caused ecological collapse in multiple regions. While your fish might be dead, it could still be carrying parasites, eggs, or pathogens that survive and spread. Customs agencies know this, which is why fresh seafood faces such strict restrictions. Number 9 catches many travelers off guard. Alcoholic beverages over the legal limits. Most countries allow you to import 1 to 2 liters of alcohol per person duty-free, but anything beyond that gets confiscated and you may face fines. More critically, any beverage over 70% alcohol content is considered a hazardous material and is completely prohibited on aircraft. This includes some traditional rum varieties and homemade spirits. The fire risk is genuine, high-proof alcohol is literally flammable, and aircraft fires are catastrophic. Number 10 seems innocent until you understand the agricultural implications. Raw seeds and nuts. Every raw seed is a potential invasive plant. Every raw nut could be carrying fungal diseases or insect infestations. Agricultural biosecurity treats seeds with extreme caution because the damage from invasive plants is permanent and expensive. Kudzu in the American South, giant hogweed in Europe. These plant invasions started with innocent seed introductions and now cost billions annually in control efforts. The distinction between raw and processed matters enormously. Roasted, salted nuts have been heat-treated to the point where they can't germinate and most pests are killed. Raw nuts and seeds haven't undergone this process. From security's perspective, you're trying to import living biological material with unpredictable consequences. Number 11 is culturally sensitive but strictly enforced. Traditional medicines and herbal remedies. Many cultures rely on plant-based medicines that have been used safely for generations. But customs officials cannot verify the contents of unmarked preparations. And some traditional remedies contain substances that are controlled or prohibited in destination countries. What's legal traditional medicine in one nation might be classified as a narcotic in another. There's also the quality control issue. Without commercial production standards, there's no way to verify purity, potency, or safety. Contaminated herbal preparations have caused serious poisonings. The safest approach is to carry original packaging with ingredient lists when possible, or better yet, research whether commercial versions of your traditional remedies are available at your destination. Number 12 might seem overly cautious, but the science is clear. Dented or unlabeled canned goods get confiscated because dented cans pose legitimate botulism risks. Botulism is one of the deadliest foodborne illnesses on Earth, and dented cans compromise the seal that prevents bacterial growth. It's not worth the risk. Unlabeled cans create a different problem. Security and customs officials need to identify contents for both safety and legal compliance. An unlabeled can could contain anything, and that's unacceptable in the current security environment. Number 13 surprises casual travelers. Large quantities of packaged snacks. You might think that commercially packaged chips, cookies, and snacks would always be fine, and in small quantities they are. But show up with 50 bags of plantain chips or 30 packages of cookies, and customs officials will flag you for potential commercial importing without proper permits and tax payments. The distinction between personal use and commercial quantity is subjective, but generally enforced around 10 to 15 units of any single item. Number 14 is fermentation's downside. Homemade fermented foods like pickles or fermented beverages. Fermentation produces alcohol, and homemade fermentation produces unpredictable alcohol levels. What you think is a non-alcoholic fermented beverage might actually be several percent alcohol by volume. Additionally, improper fermentation can produce harmful bacteria. Commercial fermented products undergo controlled fermentation with tested safety protocols. Your homemade version doesn't have that verification. Number 15 is pure physics working against you. Ice and frozen items without proper packaging. Unless you're using dry ice with special permits and proper handling procedures, your frozen foods will thaw during travel. Once thawed, they become both a liquid restriction violation and a food safety hazard. Refreezing previously frozen food is dangerous because bacterial growth during the thaw period isn't reversed by refreezing. Professional shipping services exist specifically for frozen goods because they maintain temperature control throughout the journey. Now here's what happens when your food gets confiscated. And this is the part that turns inconvenience into genuine crisis. The moment security identifies a prohibited item, it's immediately removed from your luggage. There is no negotiation. There is no appeal process. There is no, but I didn't know exception. Your item goes directly into designated disposal bins, where it's either incinerated or treated as biohazardous waste. This happens whether your confiscated item cost $5 or $500. The zero compensation policy is ironclad. Airlines aren't responsible. Airports aren't responsible. Security agencies aren't responsible. You will not receive reimbursement for expensive specialty foods, time spent preparing homemade items, or the sentimental value of family recipes. Travel insurance typically won't cover it either because confiscated items are considered preventable losses. You simply lose everything. But the financial hit doesn't stop at the confiscated items. Extensive food searches can add 30 to 60 minutes to your security screening. If security finds multiple prohibited items, you may face additional questioning, complete baggage searches, and documentation reviews. During peak travel times, these delays cause missed flights. Rebooking fees start at $200. If you need overnight accommodation, add another $100 to $200. If you're missing vacation days because of the delay, that's lost income. The cascade of consequences from packing the wrong foods can easily exceed $1,000. And then there are the legal consequences that most travelers never imagine until they're facing them. While most confiscations result in simple disposal, certain circumstances trigger serious legal action. If you're caught repeatedly attempting to transport prohibited items, you get flagged as a potential smuggler. If you're carrying excessive quantities, customs may interpret this as commercial importing without permits, which carries substantial fines. If your traditional medicines or fermented foods contain controlled substances, you could face drug charges. If you lied on customs declaration forms about your food contents, that's perjury, and the penalties are severe. Fines range from $300 to $10,000 depending on the violation and destination country. In extreme cases, food smuggling results in arrest and prosecution. This isn't theoretical. This happens to real people who thought they were just bringing food to family. So how do you avoid becoming another confiscation statistic? How do you legally transport the foods that matter to you? Here's your comprehensive prevention strategy. First, research destination regulations within 30 days of travel. Don't rely on outdated blog posts or forum advice. Check official government websites. The USDA for United States destinations, the European Food Safety Authority for European Union countries, and equivalent agencies for your specific destination publish updated prohibited items lists. These lists change frequently based on current disease outbreaks and pest risks. Second, check your specific airline's policies extensively. Airlines often impose restrictions beyond government regulations. Some prohibit all liquid food items on certain routes. Others have specific packaging requirements. Low-cost carriers typically have stricter policies than full-service airlines. If the airline's website isn't clear, call them directly. Getting accurate information before you pack is infinitely easier than dealing with confiscation at the airport. Third, choose commercial over homemade consistently. Professional food manufacturers invest millions in compliance testing, proper labeling, and safety protocols. Their products undergo rigorous quality control that homemade items simply cannot match. Commercial packaging provides customs officials with ingredient lists, nutritional information, and manufacturer contact details for verification. This transparency is what allows commercial products through security, while homemade versions get confiscated. The difference between traveling with food successfully and watching your precious items get thrown away comes down to knowledge and preparation. Every item on this list, every regulation we've discussed, exists because something went wrong somewhere. An agricultural disaster occurred. A disease outbreak happened. A food safety crisis emerged. The rules are written in the aftermath of actual catastrophes, and they're enforced to prevent future ones. Your food matters. Your culture matters. Your family traditions matter. But understanding the regulations that govern international food transport matters more, because knowledge is the only thing standing between you and the confiscation bin. Do your research, pack smart, choose commercial when possible, and you'll breeze through security while others watch their money disappear. That's the difference between travelers who know and travelers who learn the expensive way.